Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the latest People's Food and Farming Alliance presentation. I'm joined tonight by two wonderful guys who I had the joy of meeting in person recently. And, you get impressions about people, and sometimes you're going to relate, and sometimes you feel like you might not. Well, these guys, I always felt I would relate, and it absolutely was there. With the same sort of energy and excitement for what they're doing, and that passion comes through, as you're going to see this evening. So I'd like everyone to welcome Nick and Rich Stone, who are joining us from Nourish, and we're going to have a little chat this evening about what they're doing, what they're up to, what they've done so far, and where they're looking to go. We want to support as many groups or community projects across the UK that we can, and we want to share as many different models and approaches as possible so people can find out what resonates for them, and hopefully inspire them to start community growing groups within their area and support others across their community. So evening, gents, how are we?
Hey, good evening, Catherine. Thanks for having us on. Yeah, and good evening, everyone else. How are we all doing? Wherever we are in the world.
Absolute pleasure.
Looking forward.
Guys, can you start off by just giving us an overview of what Nourish is about? What are you guys doing?
Sure. So so Nourish Community is an organic, it's a community-based organic vegetable garden that we set up back in March 2020. Yeah, it was around when all the lockdown stuff was happening. Long story short, we were living in France, out in the mountains, and loving life, and people out there were just growing, and it was incredible. We had severe envy, and then when everything kind of went into pandemonium, we came back to our mum's place and just thought it'd be fun to literally grow some veggies. I mean, we literally have zero experience growing food.
We've at least grown the odd little thing over the years, but it was just a classic case, like so many people during that period of time had enough time on their hands. The weather, at least where we were in England, was really good, and we just started growing some veggies for a bit of fun, but literally just like a small amount. And then at this point, we were still, I guess, maybe I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah, in a sort of nutshell, that is what started our project, and then later we started to grow more and more because we were becoming more aware of
the situation and the food banks. We really started noticing what was going on in the world, and we were hearing about, potential food shortages coming up, and just becoming more educated on the situation. And we wanted to be in control of at least where some of our food came from, and to be able to support family and friends. So that's pretty much how we started. Then once we really started to connect with our local community, the surrounding towns, we saw a really big demand for, fortunately, it was great. It wasn't just the food banks taking on dry goods, but people were screaming out for like fresh produce. So we kind of started to fit into that, and that was in 2020. And then since then, it's just organically developed, pardon the pun. And now we have scaled up the area. We collaborate with a number of community-based projects in the area. We sell a small amount, but that's not really our thing. We're more into just, becoming far more educated and like self-empowered, and then sharing that. So we are now in the stage of running workshops this year and moving more into the educational space, but also just how I think what we are finding now more and more is, over the last 3 or 4 years now, more and more people are wanting to go this route, and we are just starting to share some of the tools and tips that we have picked up along the way, so that people can get involved and do it themselves. And
it's key, isn't it? It is that sharing of knowledge and those collaborations that are key for us moving forward and creating new ways forward, is to come together and share, if you like. And that's something we very much strongly try and support happening from the PFFA point of view. So when you first started doing this and connecting with the community, how did the community take it? What was their kind of were there others out there who were having the same kind of thinking, that actually we need to get on and grow more of our own food? Or were people just engaging or not engaging at that stage?
Yeah, we got a pretty good response, really. We, through a friend, I got connected with a charity in actually in the town not far from where we are, that grow food, run workshops. They do it in a slightly different sort of spin on it, really. But and we ended up getting like really good friends with the guy, Michael French, lovely guy based down here. It's called Grounded Community Gardens. And yeah, so we started to like chat and hang out quite a lot, and then get involved more with his sort of scene, and yeah, more and more involved with sort of, it was primarily just the food banks back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, we were getting a great response. And then as we started to put more online as well, we were getting a lot of people then started to reach out, definitely more so the last year. Yeah, reach out and want to understand more about what it is we're doing, how we're doing it, and if they can get involved. So then we started to build like a small volunteer team as well, which has been an absolute godsend, like absolute legends. So yeah, for us, in our experience, from the start, really, it was received really well.
Fantastic. And what are the other community actions you've done? So, for example, was there a situation where there's an encouragement for, you know, sort of gluts or excess produce to go to food banks and things like that? I mean, I know some people, have you had something to do with schools as well? Was there other ways you were kind of connecting with other people?
Yeah, that was through, yeah, we did some workshops for a kids summer school camp. That was really good. Yeah, that was lots of fun, actually. Kids from, it was such an experience for us.
Yeah.
It ranged anywhere from 4 years old up to 13, and it was amazing trying to think, okay, cool, how do we now learn how to relay this information to a 4-year-old, and then up to 30. Obviously a 13-year-old is much more easier, but so yeah, then we did stuff with schools, and then more recently, what have we done more recently? I'm trying to think.
We've done a couple of presentations now.
Yeah.
But what we are doing, what we find ourselves now more than ever is people are messaging us, asking us how can they do similar. So, and we've got some friends who want us to help them design like a kitchen garden for like a restaurant. And so it's kind of coming from multiple different angles, because it's not just the kind of supporting the community, which is absolutely amazing, but I think this is one trend that doesn't seem to be slowing down, and now more than ever people want fresh, organic, local. But it's just the kind of, I guess, current affairs, the climate has really forced us in a certain way to kind of move into this space. So yeah, it's been really good, but it's
yeah, we're sort of doing two things, aren't we, really? We've got still the community growing and support, which we love and we'll always do, but now we've found, as momentum's building, there's this sort of consultancy side developing as well, so
which is great, because we never worried too much about where this was going to take us, because we were just like, right, this feels really good, let's just keep rolling with it. And now we find that we stuck with it, opportunities seem to be coming at the woodwork, and there's ways to make it more sustainable for us to do it as a full-time career passion, so they can both facilitate each other. So I think it's really exciting, because also there's people in the local towns that are like, last year we were selling to a local restaurant. We've had other shops who want to sell our stuff, and even people buy veg boxes. Like I said, we're not really at the moment into selling individual veg boxes. It's more kind of the produce we do grow, we donate, because it's just so amazing to be able to see, like, we get photos of the food that's cooked for like 100 people that live on the streets, and to know that our food is amongst those hot meals, it's so really awesome. Nice. So then to kind of on the flip side, to then be involved with projects and look at helping design garden spaces and even commercial things is quite a nice like yin yang, a balance, you know.
Yeah.
And because sorry, just one last thing also,
Yeah.
I really want people, because a lot of people say, oh well, you know, how can I make it sustainable kind of thing without relying on donations and grants and all that kind of stuff. Now we're in this transition where we are moving into more for-profit stuff as well, which is an independent thing to the not-for-profit Nourish Community. So we want to help guide and inspire people that actually just see where it takes you, you know, just like it has done for us. So yeah, just keep doing it. If it feels good, keep doing it, you know.
I mean, that is key, isn't it? Because sometimes we're embarrassed when we work within a sector whereby people do a lot of voluntary work and it is about community focus. And, you know, there's almost that guilt. Well, I've got to earn money. I've got to have a job. I've got to have a commercial aspect to this because I've got to feed my family and pay my bills and everything else. So actually, there's what I want to get across to people is there's absolutely no guilt that should be felt by earning money to pay for what you need to pay for. But what is the beauty of what you guys are doing is finding that balance whereby you're able to give back or work with the community, but you're still looking at the reality of doing what you love and being able to earn money off the back of that. And I think it's important that anyone who's looking to set up a community group, there's no expectation for you to do everything for free, to donate everything, to you know, to try and make that happen. It's important that we all create a way for ourselves to earn money. But what a beautiful way to do it when you can do it with something that you're passionate about. You can work with wonderful people that you know, and at the same time you're still able to give back to a community in one form or another. And also, I want to ask you as well, for the people here, because we've got some people who are new to gardening or new to growing their own, and I'd just like to ask, what are you guys either chitting or propagating or trying to grow at the moment at this time of year? Bearing in mind, we just have a bit of snow today where I am. What have you guys got going on?
Well, yeah, being so early on at the moment, it's obviously your more hardy seeds, but so radishes are quite a popular one. Onions, they're hardy.
Brassicas.
Brassicas. So we've got some broccoli we're doing at the moment, cabbage, kale. What else? We've probably got about 5-10 at the moment, different ones.
Yeah, and then we've got some of our like more hardy salad greens. So like our watercress, rocket, coriander. We're in a ton of potatoes behind us at the moment. We've got about 100 different seeds over here, but we won't show you, don't worry. We've got our chilies, aubergine. We just germinated a load of flax at the moment, which is amazing because we want to produce our own flax seed. Not only
amazing, I've never tried that.
This is our first time.
But it produces a really nice like meadow looking like flower, a blue flower, and it's a great pollinator. And last year we cranked up our flowers, and it was amazing. So we're going to create these areas of flax, just to experiment, because that's great. But yeah, we've got.
So we've probably got just probably about no more than a dozen or 10 to a dozen different types we're growing at the moment. But yeah, you have got to be really careful at this time. You keep them inside as long as you can. Or one thing that we started last year and we've then we're working more on this year is something called hotbeds.
I don't know.
Do
you want to tell people what hotbeds are? That'd be great.
So this is quite exciting. It started from it's a sort of design, or the idea. It dates as far as back as the Egyptians, wasn't it? And then the Romans.
Yeah.
But it's basically, in a sense, you know, if you ever see like a sort of brand new pile of cow manure and you see the steam coming from it, it's basically harnessing that. So in a sense, you create like a crate out of, we've done it out of pallets. Yeah, we try and always use products that are lying around or you can get for free or very cheap, so then we can, you know, show other people, you know, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. And it's basically a case of layering up sort of bedding, horse bedding, cow manure, brown waste, green waste. So that would be a mixture of sort of more nitrogen rich and carbon rich matter and waste from the garden. And as it basically starts to break down, it generates this heat, just like a compost pile does. But with this, it's sort of done in a way where you actually harness the heat. So you then will build like a lid and a box on top, and then you'll keep your little seedlings in it. So you can put, we've got a thermometer in it, and it's ranging between 40 and 50 degrees Celsius. So that's outside in the garden, and we've got really nice temperatures out there, while surrounding might be, below 10. So it's a real, not everybody has the facility to do that, obviously. You can get like hot heat trays and mats that go under your seedlings if you can't keep them inside. But yeah, this is just another like sort of fun thing we're playing with this year.
And then at the end of the season, you get a load of compost, because it's cooled down, it's decomposed. So it's just a really cool way. It's an ancient technique, but being used now more than ever, because you don't have to rely on power, electricity. You can literally just even if you don't have livestock or animals, you can just use brown and green material from the garden. Anything that photosynthesizes will decompose and create that heat. So it's amazing. Yeah,
I remember watching Charles Dowding did a video on this, and that was one of the first times I'd seen it, and it inspired a friend of mine who's far cleverer than me, but he took it also very seriously, and he manages to heat his kitchen. Just I think it's his kitchen and his utility room and the downstairs loo, or there's 3 rooms downstairs. He can heat purely through the hot box method. I mean, how he set it up, I don't know. He's far cleverer than I am, but it's amazing how exciting it is to experiment with new things or try new things. And I think there's a fear, people think, oh, it might go wrong. Does it matter? I think it's far more exciting to have a go at things. And one wise man who taught me pretty much everything I know about growing and rearing said to me very simply one day, because I was going, oh, I don't know if it's the right temperature, and I don't know if I got the soil right, and I don't know if, get myself in a tiz about it. And he just said, plant the seed. It'll either grow or it won't. And actually, there's a beautiful simplicity to that, isn't it? Nature knows what nature needs to do. We've just got to start trying to set some sensible conditions. So anyone who's new to it out there, I'd say just go for it. It's either going to grow or it's not. Seeds aren't overly expensive at the moment. It's hopefully affordable for everyone to make a start, even if you just start with herbs in your windowsill, or maybe some pots on your patio or something like that. Just get stuck in. And in all honesty, if you can't afford the seeds, do what I did. Take a bag of potatoes, stick them at the back of the cupboard for a few months. They'll grow roots, plant them, and you can get things going. In terms of where you guys want to go with this, obviously you've got the commercial side of things, but from the more community focused stuff, are you looking to carry on in the same way, or are you looking to diversify in that area at all?
Definitely part of what we're doing is carry on the same way, but what we were finding is you can donate food and donate food and donate food, but if people, then some people can, in the situation they're in at this time in their life, they just need food, they need to eat, cool, that's it, they just need basic survival level, right? But what we've always has been sort of going in the back of our mind is, it's like the sort of, it will only take them so far. We want to help educate and empower people to be able to then start doing it themselves, so they're not always reliant. For us, a big thing is becoming more independent and not so reliant on big corporations and chains and just externally. Not everybody has the opportunity or has land to grow, so maybe hopefully they can join a community project instead. So really, it's about sort of bringing in, again, that educational aspect to it as well, so people can start growing, even if it's just helping to germinate seeds on a windowsill, just so they can enjoy the concept of growing and connecting more with people. So yeah, it's sort of starting to weave in more of the educational side, I'd say.
Yeah, so definitely continue with the education and expanding on that, but helping set up community projects as well, just fast tracking people through the process we went through, just so, because the sooner we can get more grow projects community based popping up everywhere, the better, in my opinion, in our opinion, in your opinion. So yeah, it's going to be actually hands-on helping people, or kind of advising people how to do it. And then, you know, putting more, we're going to put more energy into like social media this year, so that it can be more, I mean, there's already a ton on YouTube, there is, but if people want to say specifically connect with us, then we'll make that more accessible. And yeah, and then also just we keep speaking with other projects and talking about collaborations in our local area, and yeah, just rolling with it, because things just keep popping up, you know.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the collaborations, yeah, because we've been talking with a plant-based chef who's amazing at what she can make with food. It's incredible. And just various people involved sort of in this space. But also another passion of ours is more mindset and mindfulness and mental and emotional health, and overall physical well-being. So I also, not that I've been teaching a lot of yoga recently, but more breath work and meditation, and sort of, the more inner work, should we say, and overall health and well-being. So it'll be starting to marry the two together. Hence why we went for the name Nourish Community, because it was nourish not just for the body, but for the mind. So it's going to be sort of bringing more of a holistic package together to work with people that might be struggling, say, well, obviously financially, but then with their health, and looking to try, other ways of and modalities to help heal. Maybe, alongside modern medicine, 100%, everything has its place in various ways, but we're sort of going to start to sort of marry the two in various ways.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I completely forgot to mention right at the start when you said, how did we get going?
Yeah. I thought about that and we never said it.
A friend of ours was going through breast cancer, and she was going the traditional route of chemotherapy and all this kind of stuff. But the thing that got us into food a few years ago was learning about the power behind food and the link between diet, disease, and looking more into the drug companies and stuff. And then learning about, pretty much everything we need comes from food, natural food from the ground. And we have always been into like juicing and making smoothies and all this kind of stuff. And we were like, well, why don't we grow some of this stuff and then we can donate it? And then people who might be going through some chronic illnesses, or, you name it, can't we help facilitate that? So that actually really was the thing that sparked us doing it.
And that is a big part of how we choose what we grow as well. Especially this year, like, really cranked it up even more, isn't it? Because it's a blend of, sorry, I'm just interrupting, but
okay.
The first year we grew everything from your regular veggies to then these like weird and wonderful things, and it was awesome. It was really exciting. Then we realized, as we were going to sort of food banks, some people are like, I've never seen an aubergine before, let alone how do I, cook it, sort of thing. So I was like, right, let's rethink slightly and make sure we get all the staples out there and everything like that. And then as the sort of seasons have rolled on, it's like, right, now let's really try and come at it more with the nutritionally dense food as well. So,
and also, I think if you've got limited space, however exciting it is to try new things, and I don't want to discourage that, if you actually want to grow as much of your own food as you can, grow what you will eat.
Exactly.
Keep it simple, keep it basic, it's still whole foods.
100%.
So, and another thing, so not only are we kind of focusing more on like nutritionally dense whole foods, we grow organic, but fresh veggies is better than no veggies, but one thing is, we've become fascinated with how to grow a lot of food in a small space. So
I love that.
We've been learning different tools and techniques just to how to just keep the food machine coming, so you could literally grow your own pharmacy in your kind of back garden or on your windowsill. If you just got a windowsill, you could do microgreens and you could sprout because
and their nutritional value is insane
off the
in some
charts.
microgreens. Yeah.
But if you literally have, a meter square space, it's incredible what you could grow in a meter square space if you just break the rules.
Yeah, and that is another thing we're gonna, exactly, just say what we're adding that in, is how exactly how to demonstrate how much the highest yield possible we can achieve in the smallest area possible, or in what more of a common space people might have. Like, so that's an exciting thing we've got going on this year as well.
So the summer of 2020, when that weather was glorious and everyone was stuck at home and everyone wanted to learn how to garden, I heard a lot of people saying, well, because I've always encouraged it, I'm a big fan. And a lot of people I know were going, well, I've only got a small back garden and, what's the point? I can't really do much. Now, as it happened at the time, I had a really small back garden. I was in a modern house with your typical postage stamp back garden. And so I thought, right, there's a challenge being put in front of me. And I grew over 30 different types of produce in that very, very small space by using it clever. People don't realize how much you can grow up, how much you can do in container gardening. Out of principle, I just grew all my spuds in bags of life that year just to see what poundage I could produce from just sticking them in bags, so that we had the space on the patio that I could use there, and then we had things growing up against the fence and strawberries hanging off baskets on the fence and so forth. It's actually, I love the challenge. If you've got a small space, how much can I grow? How much can I get in there? What different varieties can I do? And I think I'd encourage everyone here, even if you've got a small space, like the chaps say, if you've even got a small space, grow what you can. You'll shock yourself at how much you can actually get in there. And what about companion planting? Because I'm a big fan of not spraying, not using chemicals, and I really support the whole companion planting ethos. How do you guys feel about that?
Oh yeah. So straight up,
we've never, I think in our first year we went and got some organic like seaweed fertilizer, didn't we?
And then I used it and I was like, oh, this is hard work. I've got to work out measurements and stuff. I was like, it can't be asked.
And we've never used any sort of like artificial pest control or anything like that at all. So with companion planting, what we sort of tend to do is we will mix, because a lot of the time it's about the smells, the odors that the plants are giving off, for example, for like pests. And that's when quite often people would companion plant. You can companion plant for a few reasons. Obviously, one, nutrients exchange and everything like that. But we do that, and what we call like polyculture, where you grow multiple different types of plants all in a really close area, because they help each other, they support each other. It's a way of, for example, you can have a tool, you can grow some leeks up, so skinny and long up, and then you can grow some more floor covering,
like a root vegetable, or whatever. I mean, there's like
but it's things like you can plant your onions near carrots, because actually aphids who are attracted to the carrots can't stand the onion, don't like it at all. So it's always, I would encourage people, wouldn't you, just to go and have a read up, go and find out about companion planting, and use that opportunity where you can to make your life a little bit easier, really.
And
100%. And
so this year we're gonna experiment for a bit of fun. So we always, and we always will, we put like our high risk, like our brassicas, under mesh, because we learned the first year that the cabbage white butterfly, you do not mess with that.
Once you lose your first crop, it's like, right, the netting's coming in next year.
Flying around, but it was savage. We've never seen so many caterpillars.
So we always, now we built these nice frames and stuff, and they're all meshed, so the high risk stuff goes under there. However, this year what we are going to do, again, because we love to experiment, is we're going to stick like the odd cabbage and broccoli and kale and any real brassica or high risk amongst out in the open, but we're going to mix it with some herbs.
So you're going to try and hide them from the caterpillars, is that what I'm hearing? Okay, I'd love to hear how that goes.
Whatever we can to mask it, just as a bit of fun. And then
for example, carrots, we're gonna run our carrots through our onions, just so
I think we will do one bed where we do a lot of carrots, so it will be like a monocrop, because we just want the production. But with then also in another bed we will then hide rows of carrots amongst the alliums and some other
But
herbs.
it's not so bad to do the more intensive monocrop approach if you're going to rotate that spot the following year, and not put carrots in the same spot, aren't you? Because I think it's fine to do that one year to the next, but as long as people rotate it so you don't allow for disease build-up, you make sure that soil stays nice and healthy. I'm not sure that it's too much of an issue, is it?
No, on a small scale, like, you know,
Yeah.
monocrop.
Oh, yes.
Monocrop. Like our beds are 1.2 meters by 10 meters. You know, that's absolutely fine. But we tend to monocrop more the high risk because they're all in nets and frames.
Yeah.
But yeah, unless with the sort of technique we do as well, which is no dig, where we build the soil levels up, we don't sort of penetrate. It's as minimal penetration down through the soil as possible. Unless you do get bacteria or some sort of
serious pest issue,
like the carrot fly, you know, they can then stay, the eggs and everything can stay in the soil. So then you would want to the next year do something completely different. But you don't need to sort of rotate so much, at least on a smaller scale, like we'll be doing. Obviously, these mass huge farms where they only grow one thing, completely messes up soil health and the environment.
But obviously,
and a good tip for those who keep chickens: after you finish with the bed and you've harvested the bed, before you put it to use again, or put more compost or manure or whatever you're putting down on it, if you've got chickens, let them have a go at it. They will go and get those little bugs out and those little bits and pieces out of the soil and get you nice and clean before you go back in with the next layer. That's something I've learned over the year, that chickens can be very, very helpful in the garden. Mine are just layers, they're pets, and we just let them go and root around when we finish an area, and they'll clean it up beautifully and give it a good turnover as well while they're at it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, wonderful girls. Guys, before we move to the Q&A, sorry I put you on the spot a little bit here. I'm going to split this into two, so one of you take one side, one of you take the other. What would be your 3 tips to people starting out, for those that want to approach this in terms of growing their own at home? So your 3 kind of key tips you can think of off the top of your head. There's been no pre-planning here, I could assure you. And the other side, if somebody's looking to start a community growing group in their area, what kind of 3 bits of key advice would you give them? I'll let you decide who's doing what.
Okay. So 3 tips on.
I want to answer both.
I know. Well, you
all right, go on. Team effort. Flying in.
Let's just do. Look, we always answer stuff together, so we'll do it together.
Well, 3 tips if people want to start growing at home.
Don't overthink it. Just please don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Kind of like you said, just plant seeds. Like we would always start with the no dig technique. We're great sort of believers in it. It's
educate yourself in no dig.
Even
Charles Dowding. Go and find Charles Dowding, guys.
A handful of no dig, intro to no dig technique. And Charles Dowding is one of the guys that has really sort of pioneered it.
The end.
We are done.
A guy called Hugh Richards is also really good as well. We've learned a lot from those guys, and we actually fortunate enough to meet Charles and learn through him last year. It would be grow something that start no dig, like we said earlier. Grow something that excites you, that you're actually going to eat, and just start off with a small handful. Don't go too big too quick, because you don't want to get overwhelmed and make a mistake and then lose momentum. We sort of dived in head first and sort of scaled up quite quick. Luckily there was 2 of us and we had a lot of time on our hands at the specific time, but it became quite full on. And luckily we started to develop a team of volunteers. But I'd say educate yourself on the just intro into no dig. Grow something that actually interests you, and start. Don't bite off too much than you can chew. And
like just without going into too many details, don't get overwhelmed with all the different types of feeds, fertilizers, compost soils. Okay, one big thing that Charles said to us when we went and did his course, he said, at the end of the day, it's still a business. This industry wants to sell you stuff. So they want to sell you this for that and that for that.
Yeah.
Focus on feeding the soil and thinking how nature works, and then everything becomes so much more simple and easy to understand. And
we don't use any sort of feeds or anything. We literally just get in really good, either make our own, like just good, as best quality we can, homemade compost, or when we start building up the levels, when we develop the site, we've actually had sort of mulch, organic sort of mulch and horse manure,
well rotted 3-year-old organic mulch.
But even if people can't get hold of that, you can still go and buy bags of compost and get started, can't you?
Yeah. The point we're making is, don't get caught up on all the details. You don't need a feed for this, a feed for that. You get just a half decent bed right of soil, and by doing the no dig, the microbes and the fungi, all of the biology and the life in the soil stays intact, and that works with the plant and the roots, and they have this beautiful sort of synergy where one looks after the other. And for us, in this like situation, it's worked wonders, and we haven't looked back.
So that's
I just think sometimes it's a good idea to remind, again, this is what the wise man told me. He's coming up a lot this evening, but the wise man said to me as well once, do what you can with what you've got to the best of your ability, and it'll either work or it won't. And the only way to do it is, only way to get on with it is just try and just do your best. That's all you can do, and there's no shame in that. I started out with a trowel and a few seeds and a few pots and a bag of compost back in the day, and that's how I got started. And a couple of years later, I was growing a massive amount of food. But I didn't have the all singing on dance. I was a single mum of 3 kids. I didn't have lots of money, didn't have all the kit, didn't need all the kit. Like you said, the soil health is absolutely key. But you can get started with just pots and a bag of compost and some seeds and just get on with it and love the experience. It's so good for our emotion. I personally believe it's so good for not just our physical well-being. I mean, that's, relatively obvious, but the emotional well-being, I think, that comes from working with nature and just being out, getting your hands in the soil and watching something grow and creating something. It's just so peaceful, and I just love it. I just love it. Sorry.
Being barefoot.
Barefoot. That's one of our things. Is
barefoot. And then your 3 pieces of advice for a community group that want to get started. Maybe you've got a couple of people, they're in a community, they're thinking, right, we want to do this, but where do we start?
So I would think, number one, so I would look at your community and become educated in the situation, see if there's a demand or a need for something. One thing that we've said to a few different people is get a pen and paper and brainstorm and think about all the different community-based people, organizations, and distribute. Basically, you want to create like distribution points. You want to create a network that people would use your produce, or they would come to your garden, and think about collaborations. So it wasn't until we kind of really got more into the community and actually spoke to these, I'd literally ring people up and be like, oh, by the way, this is what we're doing. They'll be like, amazing, or oh, thank you, but not at the moment. So, and that was a really good way. So kind of brainstorm the people, educate yourself on your community, and think about distribution points.
Also funding. There's a lot of grants out there, actually, that there's a lot of free money to be granted.
Brilliant.
So we also went down that route from the National Lottery, and I mean, there's so many different organizations out there that do grants for charities and not-for-profits, so there is that to tap into as well, which can definitely help.
Just so everyone knows, sorry to interrupt you, we actually published today our list. We put a list on the PFFA website where we've had an incredible little team of people go out and find as many, I mean, I don't know that it's fully exhausted, but as many different forms of funding that are available for community groups to access across the UK. So if you are looking to form a community group, that list has just gone live up on our website. So please do go and tap into it. Sorry, guys, I just wanted to mention that before I forgot about it.
Well, there you go. That's perfect. So that was really nice, because we were self-funded for the first couple of years or something like that, and it was just quite a a project that we started in ourselves, that then to then go through the application process, and it is a bit lengthy, but you can do it. It's nicer. There are people out there that also will help you put the application and go for the funding. So it's more accessible than you think. So, and that's great, confidence booster, and it makes things a lot more accessible. So I'd say looking what pain points are out there, what is something that you're passionate about, and that you're going to be ideally wanting to actually like put the effort in, put the energy in, and then building those sort of networks. Make yourself aware of what grants you're actually eligible for, because that really helps. Third one,
well, what I would say is, going back to the first point, is to think about all the different ways that you could extract as much value for people and the community from your space, be it big or small. Like I'm chatting to a lady in Canada at the moment who really wants to start a community project, but she's saying this small back garden, whatever, and I said, well, that could be your niche, that could be your thing. Think how many other people are in your situation that want to learn how to grow and be part of something. Own your space and show you how to be smart in your kind of urban environment. So, find your little piece, which will develop over time, just like ours is. And just how many ways you can build from your, like we donate. We donate to workshops, we donate to the homeless, we donate to food parcels. We sold some to restaurants, sold some to friends and people who follow us. So we've got about 6 distribution points that, has just kind of happened. So think how you could do that as well. But we can chat with people about this stuff.
Fantastic guys, thank you so much. That's just wonderful information for everyone here. Everyone who's here, I would love if we could open the floor up for you guys to ask any questions. We've got about 10-15 minutes where the gents will be more than happy to answer any questions that you've got. All that I ask is you kindly raise your little yellow hand so I can see you, otherwise you could be off my screen and I don't spot you. Lucy's straight in, which is amazing, because usually it takes a little bit of prompting and pushing before people are confident enough to, look, they're flying on now. Right, lovely Lucy, would you like to ask your question first, my darling?
Yeah, I'd love to. I've been doing something similar to these guys. I'm about 2 years behind. I've been approached today to start with well-being and health and gardening. And I started out 3 years ago and it's just gone nuts. I got about 200 tomato plants on my dining room table, grew everything in pots. But I was going to ask about compost, because I had a problem last year with leather jackets, those horrible crane-like daddy longlegs larvae. Do you disinfect your soil in any way? Do you get rid of certain things lurking in there? How do you not disinfect, what's the word, sterilize the soil?
Yeah, because some people, hey, how's it going anyway? Nice to meet
Hiya.
you. No, we don't.
Fortunately,
some people do. Yeah, they can even like heat it. There's a few different ways, but fortunately, in our experience, we haven't had to do any of that. We just, for one reason or another, I think our place where we grow used to be a farm as well, so I think the soil's always been slightly more on the fertile, healthier range. But no, what we're mindful what we put in there in the compost. Some weeds we do put in, but then some we will take out, because unless it hits certain temperatures, that in itself will create a more cleansing process of the environment.
So sorry, did you say there's you've got larvae in your compost?
I did last year. Basically I had an open compost heap and they got in like that, but I bought a compost bin and I'm praying that they're not in there, and I don't want to go sterilizing the soil with boiling water and kill worms or anything like that. Because they're really beneficial. But I sell to a local organic veg shop as well now, and I'm heavily getting involved in so many things at the moment.
Amazing.
But it's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you when you go out there, go and turn over your compost, Lovey, see if you've still got them, and if it looks like you've got them, come back to me and we'll go and find a solution.
I have
'cause it's
used
not one that
nematodes. They seem to work a little bit. Putting nematodes in the soil, but yeah, I probably will come back to you because I do turn the compost. It's in a bin now. I've got another bin going, but they destroyed my aubergines the year before last. They just absolutely, because they eat everything.
the way I dealt with it, well, I didn't really deal with it. My cats used to come and eat them. So when I did have them many moons ago, I'd go out, my cats would just pull them out the ground, eating them. Not one I'd really choose to see happen, but yeah, I've not had to deal with it directly. But if you've got them going on, we'll see if we can find a solution from one of our crack teams. Sorry, were you going to say something, boys?
No, just yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we can't give you too much.
We've been fine with that, but it's a shame to hear that.
I wonder if there's something more.
Yeah, like, are you? You can't change the location, or is there something else going on behind the scenes that hasn't? You're not aware.
I think basically the larvae were in the grass clippings that I composted, and they hatched. I've noticed last year a lot of birds coming down to the grass and taking them out, but they are disgusting. I've chopped a few in half, which isn't a pretty sight, but
yeah, no, that's a shame.
Yeah, sorry, we can't give you too much help on that one. Maybe, yeah. Well, if it's in the grass, then yeah, I was going to say, is it something specific that you're growing that you could maybe mix up or leave out this year and just try and do one season at least without growing that? But if it's in the grass, then
yeah, I'm going to try not to use, I think it's next door's grass clippings I asked for, but I put diatomaceous earth on them. That seems to kill them.
Yeah,
that's a good way to go.
It's the grass clippings, isn't it? Is that what you're saying?
I think so, yeah. But it's the greenery I need in the compost. So
do you not get enough greenery from the rest of the vegetation, the rest of the plants?
No, I've got a tiny garden and I had land up on a field last year, but I've managed to get hold of an allotment this year, but it's in a terrible state, so it's going to need a lot of work. But
could you source greener material from someone else while you kind of figure out this just to try?
Yeah, possibly.
I know it's not the
or grow something that will attract in predators.
I wonder what they're
what might be maybe do a bit of googling and find out what sort of other insects and bugs and birds like. You see, like the daddy long legs, wasn't it? Didn't you say?
Yeah, it's the larvae. They are horrible. Yeah. I saw one. I didn't know what it was at first. Not nice.
Okay, well,
check it out, Lucy. If it's still there, come back to us and we'll put our heads together and see if we can find a solution, Lovey.
Yeah, I did use nematodes and they reduced the problem. You buy them in powder form and mix it up and you put that into the compost. It did work a bit, but these things are a pain.
Yeah,
find out
about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, right, can somebody hear me? Sorry, because I can't find the yellow button.
Oh, is that Ruhan?
Yeah, it is.
If you look under, I'm going to come to you in a minute, my lovely. If you want to ask a question.
So sorry, I don't think I've got all the buttons, but just with the leather jacket ones, what we used to do was put weed control over your area and soak it overnight. And what happens is it floods the ground, it brings the leather jackets to the top, and then you either let your chickens or your native birds, you take it off in the morning, and literally it's just a feast for your birds, so that your birds and your chickens will do the work for you. So it just brings them out of the soil level, and they just literally on the top, ready for the birds to. You take away the weed control, and they're there underneath, so they come out because they don't like the waterlogged soil. So if
brilliant,
you waterlog it,
excellent,
that brings them out, and then you just let the birds and even hedgehogs. Actually, where one of the problems we have is badgers will come as well. But as long as as long as it's fenced off, they will take it for you. They will do the job for you.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
No, thank you for coming on and
Brilliant.
saying that. It's always, this is what I love about these things. You always learn something new. We've all got something to share and something to offer. So there, Lucy, go get some weed control, love, and drown it. See, give that a go and see how you get on.
I will. Brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
No
Thank
worries.
you, lovely. Thank you, is it Rohan or Ruhan?
Yeah, either will do, but that is, as long as it's not offensive, I don't mind.
Like me, I answer to most things. No, thank you so much for your input. That was really kind.
No.
Jane, you've got your hand up. Would you like to jump off mute and ask your question, my love?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, we're just starting our first full season now. So we've been going with the church garden that's already got raised beds and compost bins and all sorts, polytunnel, and water. So we started there at the end of last season, and now we've got a double allotment. So yeah, it's really exciting. Couple of questions. Where did you get your land from? Your first attempts?
We're fortunate that our mum, where she lives, she has a couple of acres, so we cut a section off at the back. So yeah, that's where it is at the moment.
And apart from council allotments, where can people source land to grow?
Great question. Well, we have people now approaching us who have land or have gardens that are saying, oh, you know, we want to kind of get involved, but we're not really sure what to do. So, you know, maybe it's worth anyone who wants to do something similar but doesn't have the space, maybe they could put a post out on social media or go to one of these community.
Yeah, there must be some sort of meet up or networking, because at least in our experience, we're meeting more people that are coming together. A guy, he has acres of land and he wants to start to give back. So so I forget how he met up with the rest of the group, but I don't know. But yeah, so
we're also putting together a list of places that show where land is available or what land might be available. We do that. Something else we encourage people to do is, if you've got the confidence to, which I'd be more than happy to do, for example, in my local community, is go and knock on the council's door and say, right, what land have you got that's sat there doing nothing, and when can I start on it, please? And kind of make the assumptive close, because this is public land. If it's not being used for anything else, and it's certainly not earmarked for anything else, I think we have every right to push our councils to kindly donate that land to us to use on an ongoing basis for raising food, and dare I say, such things as seed bombing. But if you haven't heard from that, just Google it. That's always a bit of fun, as long as you're remaining lawful. But yeah, I would recommend that you go and speak to the council or local parish council even, and see what support they can get for you, or put an advert out on, maybe you've got a local Facebook group that you're part of, or something else in terms of social media, whereby you can put a shout out and just see what people think. And another thing I think it's worth pursuing is, there's sometimes elderly people, I know I've got a couple in my local area who are more senior people. They've got massive gardens, and actually they really struggle to take care of it. And you know, it might be worth connecting with them and just saying, look, if you ever want anyone to come and sort of help with the gardening, or, you know, we'd love to grow some food, happy to share that food with you, you know. And so maybe look at it from a number of different angles depending on what's going on in your community.
Yeah, I think we did manage to swing the allotment thing, because it was a 2-year waiting list, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I said, well, actually, you know, we've got a community group and we would like to donate to the local food bank. And we got an allotment within a few weeks.
Yeah,
they love community.
Yeah, if you plug the community sort of
that ticks a big box.
That ticks a big box.
Brian Smith in the chat has said, stand in the park Sunday 10 till 12, community projects, community
Good
health,
point.
living the good life.
Sorry, one more question, a comment about the no dig method. I mean, how do you plant? I mean, this takes about 6 months, doesn't it, to kill off that grass?
No. Well, you can get planting the same day. What you do, so say for example you've got your space. We mowed our grass, and it was an area where we had grass. So when we expanded and we moved more onto the grass, you start mow it all as low as you can, yeah. And then some people will even start with like sheets of just clean cardboard, and you can
Cardboard,
get clean cardboard. So that will then act as a sort of a layer to suppress the weeds and grass. And then when you first set up your bed, your growing space, you'll put anything from around 6 inches up to 8 inches of your organic matter, yeah, your mulch, your compost.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so then I know, because it makes you think, well, no dig, what? But you're not breaking the ground. You're building up, so you're not going down. You're actually building up. Okay,
Oh.
In a sense, it becomes like a raised bed.
Right.
You don't need borders. You can use borders. We do some where we have nice, smart, tidy wooden sleepers, but we have other market style beds where they're slightly chamfered up, and then you can get growing the same day.
Wow.
And in time, that will then just break down, and like weeds and grass will be suppressed, and then give it another year or so. By then, it's all converted over. But what you haven't done is you haven't broken down into the sort of structure, the nutrients and biology of the ground.
Right, so you need well composted manure, really.
Yeah. And again, we're fortunate. We've got a good supplier a few miles away from where we are, so we did get quite a few tons in because of the size we are growing on. And this is where the grant also came in handy as well. We got quite a few tons turn up.
Of cow manure, cow's manure.
It was around 3 year plus old horse manure and some bedding. What else? Forest mulch, bracken. It was like a blend they do, and it was around 3 years old, and it is amazing. It's like steroids for plants, but it's beautiful. It's so good.
But
but I will just say, with the no dig, like with a few things, there can be sort of drawbacks with the no dig. Your first initial setup, there is the cost, or at least the labor, because you haven't always got to pay for it, of getting the extra material in. But then second year, obviously it breaks down, so you build up a bit more. We just had another 10 tons come this winter. But then it'll be established, and then it'll just be every year around sort of winter time, end of the season. You can then do some do 30 centimeters up to 50 centimeters, 2 inches.
Are you in Dorset?
Yeah, we're in Dorset. Yeah, we're kind of close on the Dorset-Hampshire border.
Oh, you're not far from me. Which farm is this then?
Where we get the
farm. Well, it's not actually a farm. It's the company is called Green Fingers. I can
we highly recommend.
We really like them because they've got a great ethos. They're really nice people, and they take care of where they source their manure from, and they check it and all this stuff. And this is our second year using their stuff, and our plants just exploded out of it last year. It was really good. So yeah, but now that we've kind of put the time in, kind of building the foundations as such, we didn't have to raise our beds up that much again this year, but we just really want to work on soil health. We haven't picked up like a shovel, or we haven't done anything too intense properly now in quite a while. So it is a really nice experience, and the weeds are waning off more and more now, because as we create better soil health, the biology supports the plants, the vegetables more. Than weeds tend to pop up more, in a nutritional profile that is normally not balanced, or not in harmony like as it is with vegetables. So as we work on the soil health, the vegetables improve and the weeds start to drop down. So it's quite a nice experience, synergy, to see that take place.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
I know, you're welcome. Yeah, but I just add as well, yeah, with the no dig, which is something that we are really sort of focused on. yeah, it really is becoming more and more apparent to us now, and this is what actually goes out into much the wider community and environment, is by really not breaking and disturbing the ground as little as you can. Even like it's called, the fungi systems, mycelia below. These don't get damaged, okay, so they stay intact, and they're then able to, because they're so microscopic and fine, there's certain nutrients and places the plant's roots can't actually access. So these are like extensions of that, and then the plants are able to draw up moisture and nutrients using these networks, and actually can send moisture and nutrients from plant to plant and communicate that way. It's amazing. So yeah, although it is a bit of added effort at the start, it does pay. It comes back every year and improves.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks. I think we had another question. Chris, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something actually, is that if you don't have access to manure, you can actually use a decoction of nettles or comfrey, and that's a really excellent fertilizer if you can't get manure. It really works.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah, brilliant. And that's one thing we want to explore more of as well, is making, even though we don't say use feeds, but using nettles and all types of green waste to create fertilizers and stuff, just to experiment and have fun with, really. But yeah, no, I think it's awesome.
Comfrey tea is great, but it smells. Just be warned.
Oh,
Comfrey tea is fantastic, but I find it stinks.
Nettles as well, it really stinks, but in 3 weeks you have a really good natural fertilizer, which can cost absolutely nothing if you can go and get nettles somewhere and the comfrey in the forest or wherever. It doesn't cost.
My friend did that. He went and gathered loads, and he had actually a big bit of land. It was a few acres, but it was mostly woodland. But he had a lot of comfrey and nettles growing there. So he went and got a bath. He's quite determined. Went and got an old bath from the local tip, raised it up on some breeze blocks, stuck the plug in, got the comfrey and nettles in, bit of water. You let the rain do some of its job as well, and then all you need to do is put your watering can under the plug hole, pull the plug out, fill up your watering can, stick your plug back in, and off you go with your watering can of comfrey and nettle tea. And it does wonders for feeding your plants. And it does whiff a bit. I encouraged him to put wooden blocks over the top, because it just stops the smell coming out if you have put it near your house like you did. But it's if you've got the space and you fancy doing it, it's a really good. And he got the bath for free, and he had the plants for free. So actually for him, it was a really cost-effective way of creating an amazing feed for his plants.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I think that's great.
I've seen that quite a bit now. People using like nettles and making sort of the feeds. It's something. I think even Charles has been touching on stuff like that sometimes as well. But yeah, it's something we're sort of more new to, and anything
sure
that is a way of just
we will have fun with something like that.
Still using Mother Nature, and the energy is just sort of changing, isn't it? And it's changing.
So there's been some couple cool things in the chat. I think Judy said, weeds, wildflowers, often many health benefits. I could not agree more with that. I think I'm just referring to some of the weeds that take over the place, and where we want our vegetables to have prime real estate, we're trying to just reduce the weeds or maybe usher them somewhere else. So I don't look at all weeds as the bad guys, but I totally agree with that. And then Charlotte,
saying about got some land at the back reclaimed in 2020. Same like us.
That's awesome.
And you're looking at polytunnel, but budget is an issue. Any suggestions? So you can.
Well, the first polytunnel that actually we had here was someone just wanted it out of their garden.
Yeah, true.
And then we just paid to rewrap it. So maybe what about the free ads? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, is that or
marketplace
free or something? On a marketplace, Facebook or something online, like somebody might be just wanting it gone. We've done that with a greenhouse years ago as well, actually. But yeah, the first polytunnel we got was actually just, yeah, we had to go and dismantle it and then reset it up. And like Rich said, we paid for brand new plastic. That was a couple of £100, but we got a free polytunnel. But then there's other things you can do, like plastic pipe that you might be able to get from, or again, just sort of people that want to get rid of stuff or sell like old building materials. We've used plastic poly pipe, it's called, and then we wrap net over it. But I'm sure out there somewhere you can find like plastic membrane, just you, and then you're reusing plastic membrane that's already been produced out there, but obviously the not black membrane.
You can get them more transparent.
Yeah,
stuff,
more transparent.
Yeah.
So you can sort of makeshift your own. Again, we've got our crates, and then we're building a plastic, a clear polyplastic lid that sits over it to harness the heat. You can do that, but actually over some curved pipe, and then you can sort of roll it back and forward, even if it's just low to the ground. There's a lot of sort of ways out there. I think, is it Etsy, or is it something, not Etsy, but they're really good at showing homemade ways.
Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Yeah. Pinterest.
Check out Pinterest.
There's also, I mean, it's a non-permanent structure, but in a cost-effective way. I've had a friend who built one out of wood, and it was a kind of slightly rectangular structure, not the curved one we're used to. But in terms of creating an environment like a hothouse, greenhouse, polytunnel type environment, if you've got, and you could probably pay someone to do this, and it'd be a damn sight cheaper than getting a new polytunnel, is to create that frame for you out of wood, and then you can cover it in the clear plastic. Like the gents say, you can actually rock up at places like B&Q and go and buy this clear plastic on the roll, which is a damn sight cheaper than using official polytunnel plastic. Obviously you don't really want the food touching it in case that plastic's, you know, made of a bit of dodgy chemicals and stuff. But there are still ways to do it. There's still cheap ways to do it. I mean, I'm all for the cheap ways. You know, I've been a single parent for a very long time. Money isn't a plenty. But again, it's, you know, use what you can, do what you got, do what you can with what you've got to the best of your ability. And so maybe that's something to consider as a temporary way forward, certainly for at least a couple of seasons, to do it with the wood, and you just put the bricks on the bottom of the frame so it doesn't blow off in the wind. But, you know, it is a way of almost bodging your way through it, but it works. And if it works, does it matter? Not really, as long as you're going to get the results you need come the end of it. If you kind of bodge it for a couple of seasons or whatever until an opportunity arises, so be it. Just go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
A fundraiser.
And a friend of ours, even, he works on building sites. He managed to get a load of free wood. So obviously he's in the building industry, but it's amazing what you can pick up for free or cheap building materials like timber. So he built a timber frame, and then he had this just random panels of glass, secondhand glass that was getting chucked out, and then he built the frame to fit the glass. So he's in a sense built like a sort of timber frame, like greenhouse, semi-greenhouse like shed. The back part is wood, the front bit is glass. And then one thing to bear in mind is, if you are going to do this, try and find where you are south facing, so you can catch and harness as much as the sun as possible. So it'd be a shame to, with the little maybe materials or space you've got, put it in a place that doesn't catch much sun, to harness it while you can.
Fantastic. Guys, have you got any other questions out there that you'd like to put to the gents now? I think it's been a really informative evening. I know that I've certainly got a lot out of it, and I think it's so important that we share our journeys and share our findings, and, you know, when we hit road bumps, share that, and how do we get over it. And what we want to do within PFFA is keep connecting with people like these gentlemen who are doing wonderful things and working with other community groups, and all the models look slightly different. No one does it quite the same, but they're all fantastic and they all work. And a lot of what needs to happen now across the UK, and whatever way we work, whatever area we're in, is about collaboration and sharing and connecting and helping out those within our community who maybe need a bit of assistance right now. And I think that's what we all need to focus on over the next coming year or two. is about those things. But yeah, any last questions? Are we all good? We're all good? No, I think we're good. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and what you're doing and where you're going and your knowledge with other people. Guys, this is recorded, so this will be going out in the next 24 hours on our social media. So please do share with others. I think there's a lot that can be learned here, particularly from those that are new to gardening and maybe a little unsure on how to get started or how to approach creating a community group. So I just want to thank everyone for coming along this evening, and particularly you gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. If you've sorted any social media links out, guys, let us know, and we'll drop it out when we put the presentation out and the recording out, and we'll put your links on there so people can get in touch and keep an eye on how your journey goes and what you're doing. But if there's no other questions, just want to say thank you very much to everyone.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And thank you, gents.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks for having us on. Yeah, great to have a nice chat. And
yeah, and if anyone has any questions, they can always message us. We're most active on our Instagram or email, but we can send you all those details because we'll always share whatever we can to help kickstart anyone on their journey or support them.
That's lovely.
Amazing.
That's lovely.
And lovely to meet
That's
you.
very generous. And I'm just going to say, just briefly at the end, for anyone who's finding this a little bit of a bumpy ride at the moment,